Now this is box art. And this is my video review of Gundam 00 High Grade Reborns. And here you can see the Reborn suit. It's just a high grade 1/44 scale snap together model kit. I explain all those things in my review of 00 Riser. So yeah, watch that if you're not sure what I just said. But yeah, this is the Reborn suit. I put all the stuff on it that you could at once. The claws don't really go anywhere if you don't have his hands removed. You'll notice that there's only one white spike piece coming out of his back armor there. That is because the other one is actually the hilt for his beam saber. And first of all, there's a couple problems where like his shield doesn't peg in, but a big issue here is that he has only one beam saber blade, and it's clear. So you have to paint that yourself if you want it to have an orange blade, like in the show. However, the rifle is pretty cool. It's very simple, just a rifle. See some stuff going on back here, and you kind of might be wondering why the entire back of the figure is red, and that will come into play later on. Right now I just thought I'd show you what the Gundam looks like all fully armored, just so you could get an idea of that. And here's 00 the Reborn suit with all its accessories out in front of it, just so you can see what it comes with. It has these four, I don't remember what these were called. They're called like GN spear claws or something. They're just these little, they remind me a little of the wing tunnels, I think they were called, from High Nu. They're just little wing pieces that plugged into the engines on the back that can fly off and fly around and presumably shoot stuff. I don't know, I've never watched the anime. And then of course there's the shield, and these pieces can sort of shift in and out. So it has the collapse mode and the extended mode. The gun, there's a gun. You can move this, you can move that. You'll see why it does that later. Then of course the beam saber blade. The claws, which will come into play later as well. And this, which just plugs the stand hole, so that if you don't have the figure on a stand, you don't have a giant gaping hole that you'll never ever see, so I really don't see the point of these. And one thing I should mention about this figure, and I left the shoulder spikes on just because they look cool, is that you will want to get a stand if you get this Gundam, because the leg posability is definitely an issue with this figure. Suit, mech, kit, thingy. But yeah, you can see there are thrusters if you remove the fin pieces, so it's got a pretty cool sort of thruster array in the back. Like I said, articulation's pretty good. I should mention that this figure feels a lot sturdier than 00 Riser did, because the big issue with 00 Riser was this crest piece felt like really unstable and floppy side to side, and felt like it was going to break off. But on Reborns, the V-fin, which I believe is what those are called, is actually attached to those cheek pieces, so it's very solid and doesn't feel like it's going to come off. Head articulation is pretty good. It's the usual double ball joint. I should mention that a big pain about this figure, see those black stripes right there? Those are stickers. Those are stickers. They're supposed to be stickers that go there, and stickers that go along the edges of the legs. But I just didn't even bother putting those on, because it was a royal pain to put these on, because there's very little stickiness on those stickers. And on most of the stickers it's not a big deal, because they're large stickers, so they hold on very well. Or they're protected like these ones so that they don't come off. But these ones are really there just if you don't know how to panel line a figure, and I will sometime get a Gundam marker if I can find a cheap one, because I'm not paying $10 for a Sharpie that has paint in it to line those, just because it does look better with it lined. It's just not something you want to do with stickers. So yeah, articulation, usual head articulation. The arms can spin like this. They can come out here, and you sort of have to move the shoulder pad to get them higher up. But yeah, you can see the shoulder pad you can bring all the way up to there, or have it flat against the arm. I prefer to have the top horizontal just because that looks best to me. There's a rotation here. There's a hinge there, and because of a transformation it has, there is a hinge there. So you got a decent range of elbow motion. There's also a swivel there, again, for the transformation, and a ball joint wrist. There is a sort of joint, not in the waist, but actually between the chest and the abdomen right there, which is pretty cool. As well as a ball joint, a sort of limited ball joint in the waist that allows for rotation. The legs can go out to about there. I'm serious. That's the leg articulation. The ball joint cannot go any farther than that. It can go forward, fine, and it can go backwards, fine, but it just cannot go sideways, and it also can't tilt farther than that, which means that you're really hard-pressed to put in any dynamic standing poses, which is why you really need a stand for this figure. Though the knees come all the way up like that. And what's cool is there's like a mechanism in there that's really neat to build, because you have absolutely no idea why you're building it that way until you had the thing built up, and then you're playing around with it and you realize that the camera's not in any way, shape, or form focused on this. Now it is. They realize, oh, that's why there's that piece, so it has the little extending white part. And that is just so cool. The feet have a little limited ball joint, and that is pretty much it. No real interesting articulation. So yeah. However, that's not all there is to this. This figure actually has a bit of a second robot mode. And the way you get it into that second robot mode, which is called Reborns Cannons, you go around here, you flip these in, and you bring these up, and, well, this piece doesn't really like to stay correctly aligned, but you're supposed to take this and pop it down, and that's sort of the head reveal, which isn't that dramatic. Then the head doesn't really go anywhere, but you can kind of tuck the chin into the chin holder area, and then you take that joint and you just tilt it up so that the Gundam is facing upwards, and then you rotate the arms here, you pop out the wrists, that's why it has those claws, you spin this up, and then you rotate it. And it's very hard to get it in, but it does go there. So then you do the same to this side, dun dun, dun dun dun, you know the drill. Spin it, you rotate it, stuff falls out, stuff falls off, stuff flies everywhere, usual fare. And then you can like fold these down, or I like to fold them straight up, but it's really up to you. Then you take the legs here, and you take the feet, and you spread them out, so instead of having sort of the high-heeled look, that it now has flat feet. And then the knees can actually slightly bend back, like that. It's really not very much of a joint, but it's there simply for the purpose of being able to just stand the figure in a way that looks natural. And that, for the most part, is Reborns Cannons. And I'll just armor it up a little, and then I'll come back to you with the armored up sort of attack. Oh wait, actually no, you know what we need to do? I actually almost forgot, you need to plug in the hands. Well, actually the claws. And then that is Reborns Cannons. So here's the Reborns Cannon with all its stuff armored up. The way you attach the gun is you just flip that part all the way around and then plug it into the arm. It's hard to get it to stay in, just like the shield, but it can be gotten to go in. I also checked the instructions, and these are officially called fin fangs, and they're supposed to be rotated this way for the other mode. I always keep forgetting to do that. But yeah, there's Reborns Cannons. Cannon or Cannons? I think it's Reborns Cannon. So yeah, as you can see, it's pretty cool. It's got a very neat little head sculpt. There's these sort of fin fang rocket launchers. There's the underslung weapons, which is actually kind of neat. Not much posability here. Same arm posability, but of course, these are all constantly moving around when you're trying to pose them, which is a bit of a pain because it's hard to get his arms to do stuff. The leg posability is the same, except that now the knees don't bend any farther backwards than that. The figure's a lot more stable because the feet are flatter. And the hip front pieces are now one piece instead of two individual ones, and they don't really like to stay up. But yeah, the back literally looks exactly like before. I mean, the thing with this one is that you need to be looking at it at an upwards angle to get the point of it, which is why I'm shooting like this, because if you look at it like this, you're like, what is that? It's just Reborns backwards. You kind of need to look at it like this to understand that it's, you know, a really big armored up cannons. But yeah, I just thought I'd show a comparison with a very quickly posed 00 Riser, who is armed up to the teeth. Riser's kind of squatting a little, so this is a bit of an unfair comparison, but they're about the same size. Actually, I believe this one's just a tiny bit bigger, because this guy's 18 meters, this guy's 23 meters. But yeah, 23 or 21. No, I think it's 21 meters for Reborns cannon, 23 meters for Reborns. In which case, 2 meters is apparently the height of these high heel pieces, because that is literally all you do to change the height of the figure. But it kind of works, and it's actually pretty cool. Now, the one thing I noticed when I opened up the packaging for this figure that I wasn't sure I'd like is the color of yellow is not really as yellow as it's showing up on the camera. It's more of sort of a creamy mustardy color, and it looks just a little weird at first, but I've kind of gotten used to it. It's actually pretty cool. You can flip open the chest here to make like a little chest cannon. There's really not much to this. It's kind of an afterthought thrown in, which is kind of odd because one of the few things I do know about the anime is that this suit makes its first appearance in cannon mode. Why they did that, I don't know, but that is how it appeared. So this was used in the show. I don't know really how much, but I personally think it looks better in Reborns mode than in Cannons mode. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention this earlier, but the open hand that comes with a 00 Riser also works with this figure, and that may be common knowledge, but I wasn't immediately expecting both figures to have the same wrist ball joints, but they do, so that's awesome. So yeah, would I recommend this? Probably not as much as 00 Riser. It's just a little bit inferior in that it has lower articulation, and there's just not as much to it. And the weapons constantly like to fall off. And it has only one blade, and it's clear. But the pros of this figure is that the Reborns mode, not so much the Cannon mode, but the Reborns mode, looks fantastic. It is probably one of my favorite Gundam designs. It just looks cool. And it just is awesome. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd probably recommend getting it after you've gotten a few other kits, because it's a pain to put the stickers on, and it's really not as impressive as some of the other kits that are out there. So yeah, this is my review of Gundam 00 Reborns. High grade.